a world of fun and fantasy, and ever-changing views, and computer terminology. Commodore's news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hi, I'm Graham and welcome to the Commodore Cave. What's that? You want a quick tour? No problem. Over here is the main desk area. Of course, my Amiga 65 front and center with my Windows PC, my Commodore 64, the 128D. Next to that, I've got my Star printer, the Amiga 1200 sitting on top of the Amiga 4000. Hiding down there, I've got a VIC-20 and then my two Commodore pets. On this side desk, I've got my Amiga 1000 set up, sidecar, and also the Commodore Colt. And very importantly, a place for Lucy to sleep when she's sitting here with me. And behind me are the shelves where the computers sit when I'm not actually using them. And in this wardrobe at the bottom, I've got monitor and screens, printer, spare parts, and software and books. On this side I have some more shelves which house a couple of the really old Commodore monitors. Up here are the bread bins. Every one is a different model. Above that are the new iterations of the Commodore computer that have come out in the last few years. And down here, some very early original ones. Well, if you see anything of particular interest, I've done a video on pretty well every computer in here. Just check out the link below. I'm waiting for a very special delivery and it's due any time now. Special delivery. Always find it exciting to open these boxes. You never know exactly what it's going to be like till this moment. I need to be very, very careful here so that I don't cut through to what's inside. It really is fragile. Here we go, the big reveal. A boxed Commodore Amiga 600. Well, the box seems to have got here in good shape. I'm not sure this would have induced me to run out and buy one off the shelf. Not back in the day anyway. And that's interesting. On the front here, we still have the shipping documents for it. Let me have a look at that. Oh, Commodore Italiana. Looks like this is a Italian version of it. For an A600. Serial number 070011. And we've got a serial number here too. I'll just check and see if that's the same. The date was the 30th of September 92, so we can date this right back. Let's open it and see exactly what's inside. I want to be careful with this. It's obviously got the typical tears and cuts in it. I'll fix that with a bit of PVA glue. I'll put the pack aside for the moment. That's looking pretty nice. It's got the polys there. Yeah, not damaged at all. Unusual after what, 30 years. Wow. There's the badge, Commodore A600. It's still got the clear film over the badge. Just starting to bubble and peel up a little bit there, but amazing that it's still in place after all these years. I don't see any significant yellowing on that. Yep. And there's our serial number. Commodore A600, made in the Philippines, and serial number MO70011. That's the same serial number as the box, so it matches. Bonus. I don't know what's inside the expansion bay. I presume nothing, but let's take a look anyway, just in case. Well, I presume correct, it's empty, So this is a stock standard 1 megabyte machine. And of course the warranty sticker has been broken. Big surprise there. We've got another pack back here which contains the power supply. Yep, there's our power supply. And we've got our RF cable, not required but still probably never used. And finally we have our mouse, and that looks like it's pretty well brand new as well. Okay, Commodore model A600, 09 of 92, made in Malaysia. Well, I didn't know that they actually made a mouse specifically for the 600. That's smaller than normal and rounder as well. It feels very nice actually. Then we have our information pack. Let's see what we have in here. The discs, Amiga Workbench 2.1, English, Italian and Spanish, makes sense. We've got our user guide, Workbench 2.1. Hasn't been read by the looks of it. We've got an introduction to the Amiga 600. Don't know if I've actually read that. Service centres. Where's that? It'll give us a clue. Oh, this has got New South Wales in it. This is an Australian one. Interesting. Some more information about Commodore. I wonder if they said anything about going out of business shortly after this. I actually do have another 600, and that's this one here. Now I've noticed there's a difference in the keys. On this English version, after the alphabet, the keys change. This one has different symbols. Hey, if you're still watching, how about hitting that thumbs up right now? It helps raise the awareness of the channel so other people like yourself will be able to find it. I never ask for donations, I don't ask for patrons, it's all self-funded, but that thumbs up will help raise awareness so that other people like yourself will be able to find it. Thank you. I believe there's a couple of tabs on the side here, so we'll try and release that without doing any damage. Yep. You have to be very careful opening this up, because the keyboard has a very short cable on it. There you go. There it is there. Right, they saved money. And it also has this green ribbon cable, just like the 1200 does. Very, very fragile, very easily damaged. So be careful with that. I'm not going to touch, I'm just going to leave it where it is. I don't need to disconnect it at this point. There's the motherboard, June bug, copyright 1991. Surface mounting most of the chips, not all. And that had the added advantage of reducing costs, but also making the computer a lot more reliable, less likely to fail. Now this baby here is 30 odd years old, so I'm definitely going to be getting all the caps replaced. This computer was originally going to be called the Amiga 300. It was intended to be a cost-reduced version of the incredibly successful Amiga 500, and they worked very hard at bringing the price down. It really is very much an Amiga 500, but before it was released, Commodore realised they weren't offering the public enough of a change to make it worthwhile, so they put in some very interesting additions, such as the IDE connector here. Still has the hard drive bay in place. For the first time, you could easily add a relatively inexpensive hard drive in the day. That would sit in the bay like that, with a ribbon cable to attach, and then you had hard drive capability. Now, in the 2020s, we have a even more efficient solution. That's one of these cheap CF cards like you get out of a camera in the old days. And a CF card simply plugs in here, and that replaces the hard drive. It's very, very cheap, loads of capacity, silent and unlikely to fail. It doesn't use much power either. I can go the old school way with the hard drive, or the new school way with a CF card. Well, I'm undecided. Both have got advantages and disadvantages. So which one would you choose? Leave a comment below, let me know your thoughts. The other incredible addition was this PCM CIA slot. Now, computer users could simply use, again, one of these CF cards, and then with one of these adapters, you'd simply insert it into the slot and you would have instant mass storage. And in 1991, groundbreaking. And in the last decade, we've come up with networking cards, which also take advantage of that, and we can hook these computers up to the internet. And I've got to give a shout out to Zap64 from Fusion Retro. I've only recently subscribed to the magazine and I had seen the PDF. It's not the same, just not the same. Actually getting this in the letterbox, opening it up, smelling it, leafing through it and exploring it just really took me back again to the 1990s. And it sells for under £5. That was cheaper than the magazines I used to buy back in the 90s. This is not emulation, it's the real deal. And now comes the really interesting part. Switching it on. Okay, we've got a power LED. Aha, it's working. Well, that's a good start. And it's accessing the disk. Right, we're ready to install Workbench 2.1. Floppy disk onto the CF hard drive. This can take up to 5 disks, so we will fast forward. Well, I'm satisfied with that. All I need to do from now on is set up some applications, software and games. It's running stock standard around 7 megahertz. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to put too much additions into this, probably the extra memory, and that's probably all I'm going to really do to it. I'm going to leave it just as it is. The new features for the memory slot and the IDE were pretty much overlooked and not really appreciated for the groundbreaking change that they introduced. And it just did not have the appeal to take over from the 500. A big cost reduction came from the brilliant idea to remove the numeric keypad from the side of it. And that not only reduced the weight, it reduced the cost. And boy, did the market notice. It was like they'd removed a kidney. That decision probably had more to do with the failure of the Amiga 600 than any other. And just to make absolutely certain, Commodore increased the price of the Amiga 600 above that of the 500 it was supposed to replace. The final nail in the coffin. The computer never stood a chance. This Amiga 600 is a welcome addition to the Commodore Cave, and I'm delighted to have it here. They seem to be gaining a new popularity as a retro computer. But just like all the computers here, I intend to put this into service and use it. Don't see the point of having it sitting there on a shelf on display. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this interesting. If you did, leave us a thumbs up, or better still, leave us a comment, or better still, subscribe. But until next time, from the cave, see ya. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.